We had just finished decorating our new living room. My mother-in-law walked in and said, "Wow, it's very you." I asked what that meant. She paused, like if IKEA had a personality. I smiled. Thanks. That's literally what we were going for. We had just finished decorating our new living room. My mother-in-law walked in and said, "Wow, it's very you." I asked what that meant. She paused, like if IKEA had a personality. I smiled. Thanks. That's literally what we were going for. But inside, I was seething. This wasn't the first time she had made a passive-aggressive comment about our choices. From the moment we bought our house in Portland, she'd been critical. She'd drop by unannounced, rearrange our furniture, and even replace our decor with her own gifts. My husband, Mark, always brushed it off, saying she meant well. But this was our home, our sanctuary. And I was done playing nice. I decided it was time to take a stand. I started by documenting every unsolicited change she made. I took photos of our living room before and after her visits. I kept receipts of items she replaced. I even recorded some of our conversations. Then, I consulted a lawyer friend. He advised me on how to establish clear boundaries legally. We drafted a letter outlining that any further interference in our home would be considered trespassing. Next, I planned a housewarming party and invited all our friends and family, including my mother-in-law. I wanted everyone to see our home as we intended it. The day of the party arrived. Our living room was pristine, showcasing our minimalist, IKEA-inspired design. Guests complimented our style, and I could see my mother-in-law's forced smile. Then, she made her move. She pulled me aside and said, "I brought a few things to spruce up the place." She handed me a bag filled with ornate, gaudy decorations. I took a deep breath and said, "Thank you, but we've decided to keep our home as is. We've also consulted a lawyer, and any further unsolicited changes will be considered trespassing." She was stunned. The room fell silent. Then, she stormed out. In the weeks that followed, she tried to rally family members against us. But with the evidence I'd gathered, we had support. Mark finally saw the extent of her interference and stood by me. Our home remained untouched, a true reflection of us. And my mother-in-law? She learned that sometimes, less is more. After the party, I thought that was it. Thought she'd finally gotten the message. Nope. A week later, I came home from work, and there it was, an antique mirror hanging in our hallway. Not just any mirror, but this massive, gold-framed, Baroque nightmare. The kind of thing you'd see in an old castle, not a modern, minimal house like ours. I asked Mark if he put it up. He shook his head slowly, then sighed. "She has a key." I forgot to mention that. I felt my eye twitch. She what? She's had a spare key since my last apartment. I just never thought to take it back. That night, I changed the locks. Quietly. No announcement. Just did it. 2 days later, I got a text from her, having trouble getting in. "Is your lock broken?" I didn't respond. Just waited. That weekend, she came by uninvited. Rang the doorbell 6 times. I ignored her. Mark finally answered, and she walked in like she owned the place, except she didn't get far. She stopped in the hallway, looked up, and gasped. We'd taken the mirror down. "It was a gift," she said, hand on her chest. I said, "You left it in our home without asking. That's not a gift. That's a message." Her face turned red, and for a moment I thought she might explode. But instead, she did something worse. She smiled. "All right then," she said calmly. "You want space? You'll get space." That's when the calls started. First, my sister-in-law called me crying, asking what I'd done to their mom. Then Mark's aunt messaged him a long rant on Facebook. Even Mark's boss pulled him aside and asked if everything was okay at home because his mom had emailed him a concerned letter. Yes, she emailed his boss. It got worse. She posted on her Facebook, public of course, so sad when someone tears a family apart. I raised my son to love, to give, to cherish. But now he's with someone who isolates him and insults the people who love him. I pray for them both. She didn't use my name, but everyone knew. People began picking sides. I knew she was manipulative, controlling, passive-aggressive. But I didn't know the half of it. That is, until I got a message from a woman I'd never met. Her name was Teresa. She claimed to be the ex-fiancé of Mark's older brother, Simon. I know this is out of nowhere, she wrote. But I saw what your email posted. I've been there. I just wanted you to know, you're not crazy. She told me everything. How their engagement fell apart because of the same things. How she'd wake up to find furniture moved. How she was accused of cheating after Mark's mom snooped through her emails. How, in the end, Simon didn't stand up to her. She crushed us, Teresa said. I still have nightmares. I read the message twice. Then again. Mark had never even told me Simon was engaged before. That night, I showed Mark the messages. He stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't know, he said quietly. I knew they broke up. But Simon never told me why. The next day, he called Simon. They talked for an hour. When he came back in the room, Mark's face was pale. It's true, he said. All of it. That's when he made a decision. She's not coming in this house again. Not ever. I believed him. But what we didn't expect, what nobody expected, was what she'd do next. A few days after that conversation with Simon, I decided to go into the basement. Not for any particular reason, just wanted to organize the storage bins. Mark and I had stored all the gifts his mom had given us down there. The floral curtains, the brass candle holders, that creepy ceramic clown head. As I was shifting bins around, I noticed one of them had a broken latch. I'd never touched that one before. I opened it. Inside were old photo albums. Not ours. His mom's. At first, I figured she must have dropped them off at some point. But as I flipped through them, something didn't feel right. There were pictures of Mark. His childhood. Birthday parties. School plays. But someone was missing. His dad. And not just a few photos, all of them. Cut out. Cropped. Ripped. Every single photo where he should have been was either shredded or carefully sliced to exclude him. I called Mark down. He stared at the photos, silent. Then he sat on the cold cement floor and whispered. She told me he died when I was 7. What? She said he had a heart attack. Said it was sudden. That's all I ever knew. I reached deeper into the bin. Found an old manila envelope. Inside, divorce papers. His dad wasn't dead. He was very much alive. According to the paperwork, he'd filed for full custody and was denied. Mark just kept staring at the papers like they were written in another language. She lied to me for 30 years. Mark spent the next few nights making calls. At first, we hit dead ends, outdated phone numbers, disconnected lines. But finally, with the help of a friend at the DMV, he tracked down an address in Spokane, Washington. He wrote a letter. Short, honest, scared. 2 weeks later, we got a reply. His father was alive, retired, married again, and he thought Mark hated him. Thought he'd been told to never reach out. They made plans to meet. But before they could, the mother-in-law found out. Turns out, she had someone feeding her information. It was Mark's cousin. Someone we saw as harmless, just another quiet family member who scrolled through Instagram more than he talked. But we'd posted a photo the day the letter arrived. Just a vague caption, something good is coming. Nothing specific. But enough for her to get suspicious. The cousin texted her a screenshot. The next morning, Mark got a long, angry voicemail, accusing him of betrayal, of digging up old graves, of spitting in the face of the woman who raised him alone. She showed up later that night, banged on the door. We didn't answer. She stood on the porch for 20 minutes, yelling, threatening, crying. I called the police. That was the final straw. We got a restraining order. Mark filed it himself. He told the judge everything about the break-ins, the emotional manipulation, the stalking, the lies about his father, about how she'd kept a whole side of his life hidden from him. The order was granted for 6 months. We didn't celebrate. It didn't feel like a victory. Just a breath of air. Finally, 2 weeks later, I opened our mailbox and found an envelope with no return address. Inside was a single piece of paper. You won't understand what you've done until it's too late. No name, no signature. But we knew. That same day, our neighbor knocked on the door. I think someone was snooping around your yard last night, she said. I saw a woman with short red hair and a big purse. She ran off when I turned on the porch light. Mark's mom had red hair. We checked the camera's blurry footage, but the outline was unmistakable. This wasn't over. Not even close. We were finally feeling some peace. Mark was set to visit his dad the next week. He hadn't seen him in over 30 years. He was nervous but excited. I saw something in him I hadn't seen before: hope. Real hope. That made what happened next even harder. It was a Tuesday. I got home first and immediately felt something was off. The front door was locked, but the window in our kitchen? Wide open. Our living room was trashed. Throw pillows slashed. Our wall art ripped from the studs. The shelves we'd carefully styled? Knocked over. My favorite mug shattered on the floor. The only thing missing? The envelope with Mark's dad's address and phone number. She'd taken it. We knew it was her. No one else had a reason. We didn't call the cops this time. Mark got in the car, drove straight to her house. I followed in mine, a few blocks behind. When he knocked on her door, she opened it like she'd been expecting him. You can't stop me, she said calmly. I'm not here to stop you, he said. I'm here to tell you I'm done. You're my son. You were my mother. Now, you're just someone I used to know. He turned and walked away. She didn't follow. I was waiting at the corner. When he got in the car, I could see his hands shaking. She's never going to stop, is she? I asked. No, he said. But I can. Mark wrote a letter to his dad. Handwritten. We mailed it from a different city, so she couldn't trace it. We got new cameras. A full security system. Motion detectors. Neighbors on alert. But the biggest thing? We exposed her. We posted everything. Online. Not in a rant, just the truth. Screenshots of the smear posts. Copies of the restraining order. Photos of the damage. The story of the broken family, the hidden father, the mental games. It went viral in our small circle. People who had quietly supported her, they went silent. Some even apologized. Her reputation? Gone. She never showed up again after that. But then, 2 months later, we got a call. She'd been arrested for trespassing in a neighbor's home. A couple that had just remodeled. Guess what their style was? Minimalist. IKEA. She'd walked in through their back door and rearranged their furniture while they were gone. Claimed she was helping them fix their space. The court ordered a psych evaluation. Turns out, she had undiagnosed obsessive-compulsive personality disorder. Not an excuse, but it made some of the twisted pieces fall into place. Here's where I'll admit something. I should have said something earlier. Years ago. When the gifts started. When the visits got weird. I stayed quiet to keep the peace. To not rock the boat. I thought I was being respectful. But I wasn't being strong. I let her walk all over my boundaries because I thought that's what being a good daughter-in-law meant. It wasn't. It meant living in fear, in chaos, in silence. Mark? He regrets not asking more questions about his childhood. About his dad. About why his memories were always so one-sided. We both learned this. Silence doesn't keep the peace. It just makes it easier for the wrong people to keep control. Mark visited his dad. They hugged for a long time, sat on a porch, and talked until the sun went down. He said his dad cried, said he thought about him every day. We're building a new living room now. Same IKEA style. Only this time, it's far away from the woman who once thought she could decorate our lives like they were hers. And in case you're wondering, no, she doesn't know where we live now. And she never will.